Good morning. This video is presented to fulfill the requirement of individual assignment of Corporate Accounting Code HI5020. My student ID is FCO3011. Moving towards the explanation of assignment, I would like to focus on the topic which is divided into Part A and Part B. Part A consists of explaining and examining the relative information content of income statement and statement of cash flows, and how this is important and useful for investor to invest in any companies. Basically, these two statements give brief idea about the position of a business as per international financial standard reporting standards requirement. In income statement, historical evidence can be documented from the documents available, which is further translated into short, organized estimates of profit and loss. Income statement also invests to compare information for 2 to 3 years continuously and can determine whether company has consistent history of cash flow growth or not. In cash flow statement, investor gets an overview of the amount of cash that company collects or distributes to creditors by payment. In this statement, it shows the net rise or reduction in the production of actual money in the activities of business over time in which it has been operating. And then there are a few more things that should be discussed in Part A, which is like, what is the purpose of cash flow statement? The main purpose of cash flow statement is like, it is a declaration of states which allows to know whether a company is running up in low or company is turning up into profit, or it has a low cash or running up in a low cash or not. In company process, it shows effects of cash transfer and what is being done in a bank balance transfer. It is also a declaration of profit which inform you whether or not the owners are withdrawing a bunch of cash from company for another purpose. One can see the implication of system stock, offering accounts receivable to build or changing contractors or manufacturers. In Part B, what we can find, there are three companies, which is BHP, Santos Limited and Fantastic Limited. We need to analyze the financial report of these three companies, cash flow statement and income statement, and we have to analyze from each company point of view, what are their funding sources, or from what are the whether they were available, whether they were able to pay dividends and and then pay the capital expenditure, or many other things that will be asked in the questions. So I'll be discussing those things in Part B questions. So first thing that comes by analyzing the cash flow statement and income statement, what are the trends that the company is following, whether they have increased or decreased cash flow. By analyzing the cash flow statement of three companies, it was found that Fantastic Limited shows that cash flow has been decreased in 2017, but it has increased in 2018 year. Whereas BHP and Santos Limited has shown consistently increase of cash flows for all three consecutive years. In terms of paying the capital expenditure from operation, Fantastic paid capital expenditure from operation in all 3 years. BHP were also able to pay the capital expenditure from for all years, 2017, 18 and 19, but Santos Limited was not able to pay capital expenditure in 2018, but able to pay in 2017 and 19. In terms of pay dividend payment from operation, BHP paid dividend for all 3 years, but Fantastic Limited was only able to cover the capital expenditure in all 3 years. But whereas Santosh Limited paid the capital expenditure in 2007, paid the dividend payment in 2017 and 19, but not able to pay in 2018. And in terms of surplus, looking over the cash flow statement and income statement, we can look on to the surplus, whether they have acquired surplus cash or not. By analyzing those things, we can those statements, I came to know that Fantastic Limited was unable to generate surplus, but BHP Limited was able to generate excess cash but was unable to relocate it properly. And Santosh Limited, it has a surplus capital and was able to invest in other activities as well from the company. The example of other activities is like Santosh Limited bought another branch of company, another branch of a company somewhere in any place, but which was not listed in the report. The major items which has been affected by cash flow for each firm are like Fantastic Limited. The effect has been shown in borrowings. BHP was affected in terms of tax payments, interest rates, and income. Santosh Limited was affected in terms of tax refunds, uh, mortgage drawdowns, I guess. Yeah. Trend in capital expenditure. What are the trend in capital expenditure? By looking up to the cash flow statement, we can say that Fantastic Limited, the trend of Fantastic Limited kept on decreasing throughout 2017 and 19 consecutively, 2017 to 2019 consecutively. But in BHP Limited, we see that there is decrease in 2018 in capital expenditure, but there is significant increase in the capital expenditure at year 2019. Santosh Limited has increased capital expenditure in 2017 to 2018. In terms of borrowing, Fantastic Limited had no borrowing in 2017, but in 2018 they had some borrowing from other sources, capital sources, and but in 2019 back they were with no borrowing. They didn't had any borrowing from other institutions. But BHP borrowing started to fall in 2018 and later increased in 2019. In the same way, Santosh Limited borrowing rose in 2019. That incurred risk to the company. Like they have a lot of borrowings from other sources, so that they have to pay a lot of money in future. They have a lot of credit. They have a lot of clients to whom they have to pay because they have already borrowed a lot of money as a cash or other sources in terms of borrowing. According to statement of cash flows, there are financial strength in these three companies, which determines the financial strength of this company. In Fantastic Limited, we can say it is a deplorable, or can say it can decline because it has evil working capital, which generates a lot of loans, which is very dangerous to the company's activities. BHP has fewer borrowings. That is, it is a good sign for any company if they have a fewer borrowing. That is in terms of fewer loan commitments. It has spent more in capital assets. But in Santosh Limited, it has less funding from outside the business, which is from banks or other institutions. If I would get chance to select for lending to any one of these three companies, I would select BHP Limited because it has fewer borrowings and fewer commitments to pay. BHP has spent more in capital assets, and BHP will never run out of money, which means investor don't demand too much from company and its working capital base is very high. That is the reason that is the reason why I would choose BHP Limited for lending. These are the brief uh, overview of the individual assignment that I have completed in Word file and submitted into Blackboard. And this is the completion of my individual assignment part 2, which is a video presentation. Thank you so much for that. Goodbye. Thank you.